Hello. Welcome to episode 391 of the Sunday New York Times Read Along. My name is Neil Parekh, and I am the host for today. We are going to be focusing on Iran, Robert Mueller, uh, the CBS News Radio, and special sections from the New York Times, Flavors of the African Continent, and the New York Times Baseball Preview. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and our Digimentors website. Please like, comment, share, retweet, do all the things you do to share this show with people who might be interested. As we kick off, I am going to be hosting today's show, but we have a quick cameo from Sri. Sri, welcome to the show. How are you? And where are you?
That's a good question, Neil. I am in Bangalore, India. It's now 6 p.m. and you're in New York at 8:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for supporting Neil and all the great work he does on the show. I'm here just to say hi and to wish everybody a very happy week ahead, even though we're in the midst of a terrible, terrible war. Having now been out of the country since basically the war started, I have now seen what's happening in Singapore, in Hong Kong, Colombo, Istanbul. My brother lives in Dubai, so I've been following all of this, and it's just a horrible situation. A war nobody wanted has been foisted on the world. I'm here in Bangalore for a conference and a global AI summit from In Diaspora that's taking place on Wednesday. And then we have the In Diaspora forum that's taking place the next 2 days. I'll just show you this beautiful scene here in Bangalore. Neil, have you been to Bangalore? This is
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Yeah, this is the Nandi Hills, the JW Marriott in the Nandi Hills. Before I go, I'll be cheering for Neil and for all of you watching from wherever you are in the world. Please say hello. Please post your comments. I see John is watching from the East Village. Patricia is watching from New York. Ken is watching from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Ken and I just connected on Facebook officially, even though he's been watching the show for so long. We're now friends on Facebook, which is cool. And I wanted to just tell everybody one more time about the Hidden Brain podcast and Shankar Vedantam live in New York on March 25th. This is one of the world's top 20 podcasts. A great friend of ours, friend of the show, someone I've known for 30 years. Shankar has the third leg of his show, of his Hidden Brain podcast live is in New York on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Please go to hiddenbrain.org, hiddenbrain.org, and you can find out all about the show. Please take a look. It's going to be sold out. 1,000 plus people will be there. You don't want to miss it, and it's going to be a fantastic evening. So please go Wednesday. If you are in New York or you know anyone in New York, they should go see it. We have Jayant watching from Gandhinagar, Gujarat. That's Neil's parents' home state. And Patricia saying safe travels. And our friend Stefan Kaplan is watching and says good morning. And there's your chance, Neil, to say hi to a fellow Gujarati you might know.
Who's? Oh, yeah, my mom. Hi, Mom. How are you doing? Good to see you. I'm so glad you're back in Hastings now in New York after spending the winter in Tampa. And I'm glad that we had a chance to talk earlier in the week. So I do want to assure people that Sunday is not the only time that I talk to my mom on screen with a wave. We do actually talk on the phone. Often it's after I drop Emily off at school on the way back. So hi, Mom. And hi to everyone else who is watching. Sri, thank you so much for joining this morning. It certainly was a pleasant surprise. I know that you weren't planning on joining for the show, but you know, there's a certain, we can handle the show if we have to, right? I can do it alone if we need to. You can do it, but it's always better when we share the screen and we share the space together.
Absolutely. I'm
So
going to do two more comments and share one more thing, and then I'm going to go and just enjoy watching you rather than having to work for a change. Mary C. Curtis, our good friend from Charlotte, says he's so interested in hearing what Sri is hearing there. I hate to do the usual thing that foreign correspondents do, where they tell you what the taxi driver said. But Neil, I wrote this in my newsletter. Please go to srinet.substack.com, and I wrote about how it was so ridiculous to hear from Sri Lankan cab drivers once they understood I was American. They're saying, "Why is your president ruining my life?" The multiple people said versions of that because their gas prices are going up. Their Uber fees are not going up, right? So they are paying the price directly. And that was almost a week ago. So it must have only gotten worse since then. And that's definitely an issue. The Irish Stew podcast is here, watching from the Upper West Side of New York City. Great friends. Deb is watching from Fort Lauderdale. And the last thing I want to do is just show everyone a little bit taste of what I've been up to. This is you can't quite see everything. It's noisy on purpose, but this is my AI training tour of Asia in March. I went to Singapore, Hong Kong, Colombo, and Istanbul. I'm now in India, and you can see some of our friends from around Asia who are there. And I'll show you, Neil, two things. One, the gentleman in the middle row on the extreme left showed up from Shanghai to meet me. That's my friend Yao Ming Chen, not the famous basketball star, but he came from Shanghai to spend the day and watch me speak, which was wonderful. I also was joined by my father-in-law and father in Colombo, which was a real treat for me. And we went to one of the world's most famous restaurants. It's called Ministry of Crab, C-R-A-B, a seafood restaurant. And we had lots of fun there. So I don't know if you're a crab eater, but if you are, then you've got to get to Ministry of Crab in Colombo, Sri Lanka.
in fact, I had crab cakes last night, Sri. So there is a, we'll see. Next time I'm in Colombo, I'll see what I can do.
And I'll also say to everybody, if and our friend Ying Chan, who's watching, is right there in the middle row. Second photo is Ying, who is at Hong Kong University, who we did so many projects with, and we're so happy that I was able to work with her again on this project. And we've got many other shenanigans planned. But Ying, thank you for watching from Hong Kong. And those are her colleagues. The next three photos are all colleagues of Hong Kong University. Ruby Yang, the Oscar winner who runs the School of Future Media, which sponsored my Hong Kong tour. Yuli Gilke, who is running the AI in Cinema Filmmaking course and master's program. I also got to meet with Professor Ken Wong at the School of Governance and Policy. Those are two brand new schools that have been launched in the last month, Neil, and that just tells you how much things are changing in the world. And places like Hong Kong, Singapore are going to benefit, sadly, or as circumstances are, given what's happening in the UAE right now. So we're going to watch kind of the further rise of places in the middle, in Southeast Asia and East Asia. And Ying says, "Thanks for stopping by." All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to let everybody enjoy Neil's look at the world. And Apollo said he made it to Shankar's show for the Hidden Brain. So Hidden Brain tour. If everybody goes to hiddenbrain.org, they can also join March 25th here in New York City. So everybody join. And I'll say goodbye, everybody. Thank you, Neil.
One last comment, Sri. Ying said thank you for stopping by. So we want to acknowledge that, and I also say thank you for stopping by for this show. As folks, for folks who may have joined in the middle of that, Sri is traveling, but he stopped in for a quick cameo this morning, and he'll leave with a quick view outside his window. So thank you, Sri. Appreciate that, and good luck. Safe travels. He will be back. Sri will be back next week for the show. So we'll be back to our regular. What's that?
Tickets are $10,000 some tickets
Yes.
from India to the US are $10,000
Yes.
economy. So I might be doing the show from here for a month. We'll see.
You might be staying for a month or so. Yeah. We'll we'll figure it out. Bye, Sri. Thank you. Thank you. That was, of course, Srinivasan. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for the Sunday New York Times read along. This is one of our favorite shows. And, we definitely have different ways of handling when Sri is traveling, when I'm doing it solo, etc. We do what we have to do, and we are excited. There's a lot to cover in today's show, and I'm hoping that you will hang with me for the hour. Hopefully, we won't go longer than that. The we will be going back to our kind of original style of doing the show in terms of really focusing on the paper, which is going to be fun. We haven't done that in a while. We had a special guest last week, as you know, focusing on India Giving Day. But it's been a while since we've done just a true newspaper-focused show. So looking forward to doing that. There's so much to cover, so much content to get through this week. Of course, we'll be talking about Iran, Robert Mueller, the death of CBS News Radio, and the investigation into Cesar Chavez and how he raped and abused women throughout his career as a farm worker organizer. We'll focus on Dolores Huerta and her comments as well. There are also special sections from the New York Times on our website, a special cooking section, Flavors of the African Continent, and the baseball preview. So I want to give you just a glimpse of what you can find. You can scan the QR code if you want to get the PDF of the New York Times investigation into Cesar Chavez. And I'm intentionally centering Dolores Huerta and her image, her article, Union Pioneer Recalls Misogyny and Her Rape. As much as this is a story about Cesar Chavez, it's much more a story about Dolores Huerta and the other women who came forward. And I'm so proud of her for doing that. We also, as I mentioned, have the New York Times special section on cooking, Flavors of the African Continent. I am looking forward to that. I don't do a lot of cooking, but this section and the description just looks really great. And I will note that flavor, let us gather, you can see is the headline on the special section. It's not, in terms of flavors of the African continent. I took that from the description of the piece, not the actual title, the way that the New York Times put it. So I just wanted to clarify that. It was the best way that I knew of in terms of sharing the piece. And then, of course, we have the baseball preview. This is the annual preview section for the baseball season coming up. And, of course, they're incredible articles. We have the PDF on our website as well, which is really just incredible. So proud that we get to share these kinds of assets with everyone, and that's from our very close relationship with the New York Times and with Tom Jolly and Wayne Camadoy. So thank you, shout out to them for all of their support and all of their work. So hopefully you had a chance to scan those QR codes. You can find the links on our website as well. And we will definitely talk more about this during the show. A few other folks who have checked in, Diane Stefani watching on Twitter via Spin Class. Thank you, Diane. And Deborah Bernick watching from DC, the DC area, Arlington. The cherry blossoms are coming soon. That is good. I'm hoping, here's a tech question. It says that I'm frozen. My mom thinks I'm frozen. If I'm coming through, please let me know. I rely on the audience to check audio and check video during the show. So please let me know if you're seeing any issues. And Pradnya shares a big story that surprisingly didn't make the front page. Today is the last day of Girl Scout cookie season. Absolutely, Pradnya. Absolutely. So with that, let's go ahead and turn our attention to the paper and get some good time in with and Apollo and Patricia are both confirming that we're all good as far as the video. So that's great. And Patricia says she can hear me as well. Quick shout out to Rose saying hi from Connecticut. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and switch to the paper and spend as much time as we can focusing on the news. Again, want to give a quick shout out. Of course, the show is produced by Digimentors, the consulting firm that Sri started with his friend Andrew Lee several years ago. And I am proud to be the vice president of events and communications. And we will get going in just a moment. Transitions are always a little tricky when I'm doing it solo, so appreciate your patience with that. And we will switch to the show in just switch to the camera in just a moment. There we go. And there's the paper right there. So we have the front page of the paper, and we'll focus on the front page and also get to the special sections. The lead on the right is a news analysis. U.S. and Israel differ on defining victory. More pain at the pump, recast midterms, worries over oil versus Middle East fears. The display story is the caption, a search for drugs in a cell at the Cook County Jail in Chicago, which has been infiltrated by powerful synthetic substances. A lifeline for inmates turns deadly. Paper. Here's the poll. The paper saturated with drugs is sneaking into prisons. And this is about the new drug war. Below the fold, you see a promo for the cooking section, and you can see it right there as well. I lined it up perfectly. And right on the front page, bright and beautiful recipes from Africa and the diaspora, from robust stews to meaty mains and vegetable dishes. Welcome spring to your table. Cooking. And if you can't see that, that's the caption, just cooking in one word. Let us know if you're a fan of New York Times Cooking. If you think you might be trying some of these recipes, we'll definitely take a look. This article on the left, in ice lockup and pregnant. I was scared. So that's an important article. And then, as I mentioned, it's still on the front page, confronting Chavez's legacy across the nation. Abuse claims change labor heroes' status. And I see in other headlines and other words that were used to tarnish his legacy and words around allegations. This is something that, again, we will be talking about for quite a bit. And we have the New York Times coverage on our website if you're interested. So please feel free to check that out. Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller passed away yesterday, and the New York Times team pulled it together to get it on the front page, which is a lot of work because their front page is usually set around noon for their very first deadlines on Saturday, the Sunday front page. Because remember, they have to send the paper to 20 printing plants around the country. So they obviously scrambled. And it's very possible that some of the papers on the West Coast may not have Robert Mueller on the front page, but remade FBI after September 11 and led Trump investigation. And I want to highlight this. It's right in the second graph. If folks did not see President Trump's comment on Truth Social, upon hearing Mr. Trump remained unforgiving of Mr. Mueller's investigation even after his death. On learning of it on Saturday, Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people." This is the president we have, folks. Who responds to someone's passing? I don't care who they are, what they did. Good. I'm glad he's dead. That is just, again, you think that he's passed a line. You think he's beyond the pale, and effectively says, "Wait, hold my beer. I've got more." Absolutely incredible that he would say that. Some of the reefers on the bottom, the Castro on Instagram, Sandro Castro, a grandson of Fidel Castro, has drawn followers and scrutiny for his satirical posts in which he flaunts a life of luxury. There's an article about Michelle Pfeiffer. An article Stefan might be interested in. Let's see, NYPD Shield number 13558. This badge, passed down through generations of police officers in New York City, has deflected a bullet. The men who have worn it have decades of history to share. And I only mentioned that Stefan might be interested because his mom was a pioneering NYPD police officer. So there's some interesting history there. And of course, there's a refer to the baseball preview, which is available on our website. So that is the front page. Here is that section of New York Times Cooking that we mentioned. The way they titled it, "Let Us Gather Bright, Beautiful Recipes from Across Africa and the Diaspora." So we'll definitely spend some time with that. We have the baseball preview. We don't spend a lot of time on baseball in this show because of the international audience. But if you have the baseball preview, you have to show it. You have to talk about it. Cheer of spring has a chill. With a lockout looming, this could be a season to cherish. And you see the bottom half of the section as well. The Sunday Opinion, whims, impulse, memes, and lies. America should never fight a war like this. That's clearly a reference to President Trump. The president undermines our military with his false and outrageous statements. We have Sunday Business, the 500 million mystery will signed by ghosts. A 7-page document. You see the image holding a FedEx packet, if you can tell. A 7-page document mailed by an elusive figure has set off a court battle over the estate of Tony Sia, the former CEO of Zappos. So that's interesting. Sunday Styles, a holiday encourages community spirit. In New York City, many Muslims rely on the services of small businesses to celebrate the end of Ramadan. And it's an interesting image. I want to unfold it, of the caption, Fatu Drama holding up a mirror for a customer at her business, Fatima's Obsession in Harlem, where she sells traditional clothes inspired by West African culture. Friday, of course, was the end of Ramadan. And Eid Mubarak to everyone who did fast, who did celebrate Ramadan this year. Hope it was a good fast for you. The bottom article, Sign of Spring, Cold Shoulders. A season celebrated in poem and song slips in popularity. Can it regain its glory? We have this arts and leisure section on Michelle Pfeiffer. Making it look easy, Michelle Pfeiffer might be expected to skate at this point, but 2 new TV roles show that she still sweats the details. And we have the book review, and this is definitely an article worth reading. Who do you think you are? In a World Appears, Michael Pollan wants to know where consciousness comes from and explores what makes you, you. That's the book review. And the New York Times Magazine, is computer programming still a job for humans? By Clive Thompson. That's the rise of AI. If AI can code, why do we need humans for computer programming? And that's a great cover. You can see the face using characters. definitely some good artwork in the New York Times today. So that is the back, the full paper, and I'm sure the back of the book review, because it caught my attention as I flipped it over. The ultimate collection of treats: 100 delicious cookies from New York Times Cooking. So they do a little house ad there. Because you deserve a cookie, available wherever books are sold. That's the QR code. I don't know if you can grab that. I'll hold that there for anyone who's really interested, in case you can do a screenshot and scan that QR code. Also by New York Times Cooking, easy weeknight dinners and the appetizer deck. So more books from the New York Times. So let's go ahead and pull this back to the front, and let's see what some of the comments that have come in since I turned to the paper. Let's see. Deborah Kerr shared a link to the to gathering recipes. That might be a link to the the recipes from the African diaspora. So thank you, Deborah. Sujana says he is trash. Didn't get his mouth washed out with soap enough or at all. Definitely referring to President Trump. Mary C. Curtis says, remember how folks got fired for just quoting Charlie Kirk after his murder? Where are the condemnations by white Christian nationalists? Absolutely. Paula Kiger, longtime producer of the show, is saying good morning from Tallahassee. Paula, thank you so much for joining us. And we have D. Cappy saying Trump's comments, or D. Copy, sorry, on these comments on Miller. What a double standard that he says whatever he wants, but so many get reprimanded or worse for comments on Charlie Kirk. Absolutely. And Dee, thank you for watching us. I don't recognize your name. If you're a long-time viewer, first-time commenter, thank you so much for joining us. Excuse me. As a reminder, we're live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and our Digimentors website. We produce this show every Sunday, most Sundays, at 8:30 a.m. ET. We were not able to do it last week because both Sri and I were traveling, and we do take holidays off, but fairly regularly we produce the show on Sundays at 8:30 a.m. ET. If you want to learn more about the show, if you want to stay in touch and get updates about upcoming topics, links to the show, etc., please sign up for our mailing list. I send out an email about once a week to our mailing list of about 300 people now. Just to give you a heads up on where to find the show on various channels, what topics we'll be covering, and if we have any special PDFs to share from the New York Times. So you can join the mailing list by sending me an email, neil@digimentors.group, neil@digimentors.group. So let's go ahead and dive into the paper, and I'm going to actually set the front page aside so we can focus on these special sections, and then we'll come back to the front page. So this is the New York Times special on cooking. So let's get this out of the way real quick. Okay, so the New York Times, Let Us Gather. And as a reminder, you can get the PDF of the New York Times, this cooking, from our website. You can go to tinyurl.com/NYT African Cooking, tinyurl.com/NYT African Cooking to get the PDF. And I think it'll be worth it. Excuse me. No, Mom, I didn't get my glass of water before starting. So sorry, I'm going to have to clear my throat a few times. This is the article, the opening essay, and I am not sure how to pronounce the name of this person. Yewande Komolafe, I'm going to guess, has been a recipe developer and columnist for the New York Times since 2018. and I thought it would be worth it just to share what they wrote. As a reserved extrovert, I love cooking and hosting in my home and the feeling that sharing a meal gives me. My instinct has long been to create a detailed, curated plan, one that admittedly does not always work. I've had to pivot, turning underproofed doughs meant for rolls into crackers or soggy jollof rice into panko crusted fritters. But the goal isn't perfection. It is to open up my space and myself to family, friends, and sometimes even strangers. To understand and share my approach to these meals, I selected the following recipes from New York Times Cooking that highlight the flavors of the African continent. That's where I took my title from. Its diaspora and beyond. A focus of my work as a Times columnist. Practically all are drawn from everyday life and tell a rich culinary story. So it focuses on menus, appetizers, sides, mains, and desserts. Excuse me. So menus. Each of these suggested menus is a journey, evocative and riddled with flavor. Every course is an invitation to fill your kitchen with scents that waft across your nose. I do not remember seeing that kind of prose on a New York Times cooking special. This is really this looks different and feels different than other cooking inserts that I've seen. The menu A, so I guess there are three menus that looks like. Menu A begins with hilib sambus, beef dumplings, and then spicy peanut and pumpkin soup, jollof rice, roasted shrimp with okra and tomatoes, roasted carrots with yaji spice relish, and a quick mango kulfi for dessert. There's a menu B and a menu C as well. But the photography is also really, really well done. And I love the deep red background that they chose. And here are some appetizers. This looks familiar. Sambus, fried beef dumplings. They obviously look like Indian samosas, but that's one appetizer to start with. They have chat party. This dish is a party in itself, ready to be lingered over, especially if you make enough chutneys to spare. Spicy peanut and pumpkin soup. You can see that there. And there is, what else do we have? Beet salad. So let me know in the comments if we have any people who are cooks in the who are watching, who are interested in making some of these dishes. Definitely want to highlight that. Let's see. And Dee says that they're Devika Kopikar, journalism professor at Hampton University, an occasional viewer. Well, thank you, Dee. Appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. Let's see. And Patricia says she loves international cuisines. So there was the beet salad. There is, what else do we have here? Zanzibari pizza. You got my attention. Pizza. As long as there's no pineapple, right? No pineapple on it? Good. Okay, we're good. Fold a roti around some spiced ground meat and cabbage. Cook it in ghee and pair it with some hot pepper sauce to serve for a festive start to any party. Not quite my definition of pizza, but definitely sounds interesting. Definitely sounds like it would work. Let's see. There's spinach stew on the left here, and Liberian stewed greens dip with plantain chips. We have a number of sides. I'm wondering if I missed. Hard to get the page turned. There we go. Then there's Zanzibari mix, a fragrant brothy green mango soup with a sour bite. What else do we have here? We have then sides. Vegetables add crisp freshness to the meal and act as vessels for the juices on your plate. Caramelized plantains. Moin moin for a gathering. Steamed bean pudding. We have roasted carrots and soft pull-apart rolls, jollof rice, of course, and stewed amaranth greens. The main dishes. I mean, this goes on and on. We would certainly be here for most of the show if we go into detail. Citrus glazed pork chops, roasted shrimp, and braised lamb shanks. Let's see if we can find. There we go. One pot rice with chicken, and smashed beef kebab, and more. There is so much more, folks. It pains me not to cover all of it, but they also have desserts and a quick mango kulfi if you're interested. Honeycomb cheese bread, spiced coconut tapioca pudding, and that's it. That's the full. And that was the last page is an ad for East Fork. But what was nice was that there weren't ads throughout the book. Let us gather bright, beautiful recipes from across Africa and the diaspora. And again, as a reminder for folks, you can get the PDF from our website. If you go to tinyurl.com, NYT African Cooking, you can get the PDF. You can also scan the QR code if that's easier for you. I'll keep that on the page for just a moment. Again, download this special section, Flavors of the African Continent. tinyurl.com/NYT African Cooking, or scan the QR code that's right there on the screen. Certainly encourage you to take a look. And I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Muck and Graphic History Company. Thank you so much for your support. And Muck has been a longtime sponsor, and Graphic History Company has joined us more recently. But we appreciate all of your support. We wouldn't be able to do this show without you. We really, really wouldn't. We have a couple of comments that came in, and I just want to share. I know I saw one from Apollo earlier. Let's see, and this is a longer comment. It'll be interesting to see how the New York Times cooking section handles Black American cuisine, if it's included at all. It's part of the diaspora, but some Black Americans are delineating because there's concern the community's history and contributions to America are being erased. Black Americans are calling themselves foundational Black Americans, emphasizing history and lineage. The reaction is the claims that immigrants did not build the country from its foundation. It's a touchy subject, and I think there's the comment is longer on Facebook. We can only bring in so much into our platform, but certainly appreciate the sentiment, Apollo. Jonathan says they sound fantastic, but how many are for one? That's a good point. That's often an issue in terms of recipes, much less recipes, but even in terms of shopping. When you go out, prepared meals often come in larger sizes. That might be something. I don't know if New York Times Cooking, if someone is more familiar or can do a quick search, whether they have a set of recipes that are just for solo diners. That would be interesting to point out. And let's see. Dee says that they're a cook and would like to try the pumpkin peanut soup. Actually, many recipes sound good. I'm a New York Times digital subscriber, but not the cooking app. So Dee, that PDF on our website is perfect for you. Hopefully you've been able to get to it. Again, the URL is tinyurl.com/NYT African Cooking. tinyurl.com/NYT African Cooking. And if you go there, you'll be able to find the PDF right on our website. If you have trouble finding it, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to follow up with you after the show. And if you are interested in joining our mailing list, please do so. Again, my email address is neil@digimentors.group, neil@digimentors.group. Group. So we will move on from cooking, although I see several other. Dr. Tachi is saying hello from Fort Lauderdale. Um, Ken says the freezer is your friend, Jonathan, or John rather. And Dr. Tachi is going for that PDF. Great job. And John says that the has a collection of cookbooks for one, but so far the Times has not published one. I'm hoping, John, that they have a way of filtering their recipes on their website for just one. That'll be interesting to note. So let's take a quick look. Although we usually don't focus on baseball because of the international audience, we want to give it a quick look because some really interesting articles, and there are we do have the PDF on our website as well. So if you want to get the PDF for the New York Times piece, I'll put the ticker on the bottom. You can see that URL NYT, tinyurl.com, NYT Baseball Preview 2026. This preview features articles from writers who are with The Athletic. As you know, of course, the New York Times turned over its sports journalism to The Athletic, but they do have some great writers there. Jason Stark talking about one-sided conversations, writing about one-sided conversations. The new challenge system means the Yankees boon and others can argue with a robot or a wall, which is, they're showing some famous altercations between managers and umpires. There's a story about the Mets, which we can definitely skip over. That's not really important. Nothing to see there. A masterclass in managing. Now, I have, feelings as a Yankee fan, focusing on the Dodgers and certainly wanted the Blue Jays to win. But Dave Roberts did do an excellent job last fall in the World Series. It was a very close game. Dave Roberts of the Dodgers took the time to break down a World Series Game 7 for the ages. This is by Tyler Kepner, who was a longtime sports journalist, great writer, and I will give the Dodgers their due. I'm going to forget 2025, the fifth inning, as much as possible. This is a huge spread about the Blue Jays. Interesting how much of the focus is on last year's World Series, the winner and the loser. But short of glory by inches, Blue Jays use agony as fuel. Another Jason Stark article. And then they feature teams that won the title a year after losing a Game 7. So some history there at the bottom. And then this is their focus. What they did, interestingly enough, is in terms of looking at all the teams, they focused on relievers, on the bullpen across the board. So that's their kind of big feature article. And then the back page, modern game, but the same malaise. Baseball has been energized by new rules and dynamic players, but finances remain a concern. So you can see a business article here. And then fans face a difficult choice: confusing web of streaming options or an expensive trip to the ballpark. And that's certainly a big challenge. I will say, just after that quick glance at the baseball preview, it certainly feels a lot lighter than earlier years. We did a special show on the end of the New York Times sports desk, but if you go back 10 years, that baseball preview was much thicker. The art direction is still great. The articles are still good, but there's still a lot of content that's not there, unfortunately. All right, so that's the baseball preview. And again, want to make sure that you are able to grab that if you want to. So you can scan the QR code or go to the URL, NYT Baseball Preview 2026. NYT Baseball Preview 2026. tinyurl.com. And you can scan that QR code if you want. Okay, so let's get back to the news. And we'll go through some of the sections, and then we will keep an eye on time as well. So here we go. This is the back to the front page. We went through the front page kind of review. One thing I always like pointing out is that the New York Times printing plant at College Point, Sri and I both have had a chance to tour, can print 40-page sections, but the other printing plants around the country cannot, which leads to an interesting inside section. When you're looking at the A-book, when you flip it, this article that's on page 21 gets a little bit more attention if you're just glancing through the sections. 1 year after Trump's $400 million ultimatum, Colombia has changed. And that's certainly worth taking a close look at. It was just horrible to see how he was bullying law firms and universities last year. We'll be curious to see how that things changed on Colombia, on the Columbia campus. So inside the front section, my favorite section, the story behind the story, a window into the lives of New York renters. From her perch across the street, a photographer captures residents with consent inside their homes. And that's Sarah Barr wrote that article. Sarah is a former guest on the show, a prolific writer at the New York Times, writing several Inside the Times stories, but also covering arts, culture, and more. She's also an editor. Her full-time role is editor at the paper, but she writes all these other articles in her spare time somehow. The Dateline section, which I think is always interesting, where Times journalists are reporting around the world. Pasadena, California, Montserrat in the Caribbean, Torch on Faroe Islands, which is must be up north, is I'm guessing, and then Dhaka, Bangladesh. That's the fourth place they mentioned. They have a wordplay column, tips for today's crossword puzzle, and here to help. Travel 101, how to prepare for your first river cruise. Inside, international, feeling overshadowed, Zelensky hopes to revive peace talks. And what a great photograph. Zelensky earlier this month in Ukraine, sitting on a park bench alone. That is very, very telling. Here's the article about the Castro on Instagram, who's having some fun, apparently. And here is in France, electing 34,000 mayors gauges political wins. Denmark readied plan to take on United States. That's probably our airfields in Greenland would have been blown up in an invasion. Wow. If you saw the Oval Office visit with charm and restraint, Japan dodges Trump's wrath. When Trump was meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister, made an offhanded remark about Pearl Harbor. Again, put that in the category of never could have imagined that he'd say something like that, but that he went ahead and did it. What else do we have in the international section? Weekly public holiday, Sri Lankans bemoan it. So if Sri was here, we could ask him about it. Wartime rationing slices the work week. The government tries to ease the pain over the energy shortage. That's interesting. Let's see, what else do we have? Many military options to open the Strait of Hormuz, but none are easy. About the war in Iran. And then here's the Iran coverage that we knew we would have this Sunday. U.S. and Israel differ on what victory would look like. Iranian men apprehended at UK base. That's the article on the right there. Pain at the gas pump is recalibrating the messaging for midterm elections. Iran says another attack was launched against a nuclear center. And a diary of war by the president's son chronicles fear under a facade in Iran. A photo released by Iranian state media of President Masoud Pezeshkian Center and his son, Yusuf, fourth from left in Tehran last month, 2 weeks before the war started. And then the national section, the main story, in uneasy time, New Yorkers find comfort in first Ramadan under a Muslim mayor. This is a very happy moment for us, is the pull quote. Go big and go loud. Justice Department strategy to prosecute demonstrators, and charges dropped against woman mistaken for protester in Minnesota church case. And the Robert Mueller obit. So they were able to get not only on the front page, they used a dominant photo in terms of the layout. So if you take a look, that they did, almost the full page here, 2/3 of the page on the right. But when you think about it, they could have used a smaller photo and squeezed another article on the page, or maybe moved some of the text over to the left. But that's a decision, folks, to give the article its due, to give the full length treatment, which I think is definitely befitting a man of that stature and with that career. So that is the end of that kind of a-book, but then it goes into the next section. You see how the last page is a full page advertisement. This is an article about No Kings. A rally on March 28th, next Saturday. We the people march again. The abuses have not stopped, neither will we. The founders wrote the Bill of Rights because they had lived under a king. We march because we refuse to live under another. No Kings, March 28th. So here's the rest of the A-book. As we approach 9:30, we have, this was the article from the front page, pregnant and seeking care in ICE lockup. I was scared. And then there is an article on the left we should point out. Trump's Arts Commission clears Trump's gold coin. Exactly what we need. A gold coin with Trump's face on it. And that look, that menacing look, leaning over a table. Just crazy. Can't wait until this national nightmare is over. Laced with drugs, lifeline for inmates turns deadly. This is another front page article with 2 pages inside. You can see that over there. And then an article about erasing Chavez's name from many memorials and revisiting his legacy. Long fight to honor a leader took a day to undo. Fresno, for 30 years, they fought to name that boulevard after Cesar Chavez. And rightfully, they took it down after news broke. The investigation broke about how he raped and assaulted women over a number of years. Then we have the sports section, which we glance over. We'll probably have the obituaries coming up. There we go. Alfredo Bryce Ekinique dies. Novelist bared Peru's upper crust. Patriarch Ilya II, 93, spiritual embodiment of stability in Georgia. Calvin Tompkins, 100, who profiled giants of modern art, is dead. And Albert Zuckerman, 94, book agent behind bestsellers. Here's that article about the NYPD, Lucky, Heroic, Profane, The Tale of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 13558. And let's see, spending Saturday night, the Golden Corral to Bronxway. That's interesting. And hydropower line from Canada could power 1 million homes in the city. That is the front page section for this week's paper. Again, we went through the other sections earlier, and we kind of covered that in terms of what was in the Sunday Opinion, in the business, the styles. Arts and Leisure focused on Michelle Pfeiffer, and we had, of course, the book review. Who do you think you are? In a World of Peers, Michael Pollan wants to know where consciousness comes from and explores what makes you you. And then the New York Times Magazine cover, which is very interesting, showing, is computer programming still a job for humans, with the face made up of characters, etc. So again, as a reminder, if you missed it earlier, you can download the New York Times Cooking from our website, the PDF, Flavors of the African Continent. Certainly worth reviewing. And you can also get the baseball preview from our website. We reviewed that earlier. And as I mentioned, we have coverage of Cesar Chavez and the article focusing on Dolores Huerta. They have the New York Times investigation and the Dolores Huerta article as PDFs on our website. You can get that by going to tinyurl.com, NYT Dolores Huerta. And intentionally, I centered Dolores Huerta in the story. It is something I'm very, I felt very strongly that she was able to share her story after 60 years of, having experienced that rape, and she kept quiet because she didn't want to hurt the movement. She didn't want to impact all of the work that she'd been doing, which is incredible. Obviously, she also felt that she couldn't, she couldn't raise that issue over time. It was a very different time, and she had been dealing with misogyny and worse since the beginning. But I am very proud that she was able to speak up and share her truth after so many years. After I think I'd mentioned earlier that I had a chance to meet Dolores Huerta recently at an event for the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation. It certainly was an incredible honor to meet with her. She spoke at the John Robert Lewis High School here in Alexandria or Springfield, Virginia, and she spoke to the students. I had a chance to meet with her and talk with her. And what I would say is that she was, and we also, as part of my work with the Southern Poverty Law Center, interviewed her for a podcast. And she is 96 years old, but as strident and feisty as ever. She is not holding back at all. And when news broke, when she shared her comments of being raped by Cesar Chavez, I couldn't have been more proud of her and more proud that I had a chance to speak with her. It really is incredible. And as a survivor myself, as many of you know, I was abused by a neighbor when I was 7 years old. I've shared my story here and on other podcasts. There's never a question, particularly with the amount of research and time the New York Times put into their investigation. There's never a question of whether or not these allegations are true when it has so much weight behind it. So I want to give that shout out to Dolores Huerta. Let's catch up on any comments that I may have missed. Again, when I'm looking at the paper, it's a little hard to look back at comments. Certainly not to be able to get them at the right time. Naomi says that she's repulsed but not shocked by Trump's racist, sexist, and ignorant insults. Vile, revolting, and incapable of understanding world history. I couldn't agree more. Well said, Naomi. Mary Curtis says she had the honor of meeting Dolores Huerta at a conference at Harvard Law a few years ago. I never thought she got her due as a leader and activist. Absolutely. And if you read the articles, you can see that she was being belittled and undermined from the very beginning. In fact, there's a story about how there was a big announcement that was going to be made, I believe, in Washington, D.C., and Cesar Chavez said that, Dolores, we need you in Florida. We need you to go to Florida to handle an emergency situation. So she packed up and rushed to Florida, only to find there was nothing going on there. It was only an effort to get her out of the way so they could make the big announcement. The men could make the big announcement. Patricia says, thank you, Neil, and the entire production team. Patricia, just so you know, it's Thank you, Neil. You really don't need the word "and" in that sentence. Neil, the entire production team, and I say that with humility because that's just the fact. I produce the show every week, doing the promotional work, doing the graphics, the write up, setting up the live streams, and then the behind the scenes work when it's me and Sri. But thank you, Patricia, for that. Appreciate it. And Dr. Tachi says, I'm so glad she shared her story. So often women suffer silently and turn the other cheek for the sake of movements. I would add to that, Dr. Tachi, so often men suffer silently and turn the other cheek because they're too embarrassed to share what happened to them. I'm thinking particularly of all of the athletes at University of Michigan, the male athletes, and at Penn State, of course, big football players who were abused by doctors and other personnel who didn't feel like they could come forward with their own story because who would believe that a 300-pound 6'6" lineman was abused by a doctor much smaller. But it's a power dynamic, and there's a lot of guilt and shame involved, for regardless of gender. So I just wanted to share that. My mom says, I'm glad you had a chance to meet and talk with Dolores Huerta. Apollo says the Cesar Chavez story is so horrible. Many healing thoughts to Dolores Huerta, of course. Thank you, Dr. Tachi. Neil rocks. Appreciate that. Yes, Jonathan is talking about doing the entire production today, from one-man band to another. Dr. Tachi says, indeed. So we are just at the 1 hour mark, and that's what we're trying to do with these shows in the new version of the Sunday New York Times read-along, hosted by myself and Sri Srinivasan. We're trying to keep it tight to 1 hour. Occasionally, we'll have cameos from folks. Today was Sri gave a cameo, but a few weeks ago, if you remember, our friend Walter Grayson joined us for a few minutes to talk about Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. And then, we're planning about once a quarter or so to have a full show like we used to with a guest. And we did that 2 weeks ago when Sejal Desai joined us for India Giving Day. But our intention is to focus on the paper, to do more of the news, share more of your comments and more of your insights along the way. As a reminder, if you missed the show or if you joined us late, you'll be able to get the show in its entirety on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and our website shortly after we finish. So you'll be able to watch it from the very beginning, and you'll be able to catch Sri Srinivasan's cameo on the show, talking about his travels and some of the challenges of flying back from the other side of the world. He was in Turkey, but getting past through Colombo, etc. With the war, air travel, international air travel is just scrambled. So please feel free to go back and watch the show. We are also will be uploading the show to Spotify, and you'll be able to catch the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want after the fact. So that's another option as well. So again, thank you for joining us. If you have trouble getting the PDFs, let me know. I can make sure you have the links. We have PDFs of the cooking special on the flavors of the African continent, the baseball preview, and the coverage of Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta available for you. So thank you very much. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week on the Sunday New York Times Read Along. Bye-bye. And that's, we'll quick, Eric Sharfstein joined us from Chappaqua, New York today. Eric, if you weren't watching, if you only just joined, make sure to go back and watch the replay, unless you watched the whole show and didn't comment till the end, which is also fine. And Apollo says, great show and much appreciation, Neil. Have an awesome week ahead. And I do want to give a quick shout out, Apollo. Thank you for all the messages you've been sending me on Instagram and elsewhere, to keep that personal connection going. It really does mean a lot, and I appreciate that. Dr. Tachi says great show as well. So with that, we will end the show and look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.